What's up, 12s? It's Brandon Michael here, sitting in his closet once again because, like I said, the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely put podcasts on a budget, which means that I cannot go over to my podcast room to be able to film and do all my other stuff over there. So, we're sitting in my closet. I know you probably don't mind because, you like looking at my Seahawks jerseys. I already see you. And the draft is over. That's the real reason why we're here. The draft is over. Did we get who we expect? No. Do we ever get who we expect? That's a no to that too. So I decided, you know what? As an analyst, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a lot of research on all the 8 picks that we selected. And I'm going to, do a deep dive and be like, what are the pros and cons? What are some of the stats they have? And I did it. Have all my notes right here. And I'm going to be able to show you guys and, share some content with you. And you could decide yourself if we made the right move. Okay, so I want to just dive right in, guys. And just by the way, a disclaimer, I'm only doing the 8 picks that we drafted. None of the guys that we drafted after the draft. Guys like Anthony Gordon and stuff, they will not be included in this video. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So let's go with the number 27th pick in the draft, Jordan Brooks, who went to Seattle, inside linebacker, 6 feet tall, 240 pounds, ran a 4.54 in the NFL Combine. He came out of Texas Tech. Now, this guy is a great run stopper. One of the best run stoppers in college football. Actually, I think he got a 91 in PFF. So that's definitely something you got to look at. He had 6.5 sacks over a 4-year span in college. He also had 2 interceptions and 360 total tackles. Now, obviously, he's an amazing a run stopper. One of the biggest things is it's like running into a brick wall as a running back or a wide receiver. He has great balance, so a lot of things he's able to do is he's able to make a lot of open field tackles, doesn't miss a lot of those, which is good because in the NFL you're gonna have a lot of shifty guys. If he's able to stop guys in the open field, it stops a lot of the big plays, and that's something we do need. But the biggest con, and it's a very big glaring con, is his pass coverage is very suspect, which is one thing we do have to look at. Obviously, he has guys as Bobby and KJ in front of him that are going to be able to help him. But the thing is that Bobby didn't do so well in coverage last year too, and it cost us sometimes. Excuse me. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see how they work with him in terms of pass coverage. He's going to have some time to work on that because I don't think he's going to start immediately, obviously, unless we're thinking about getting rid of KJ over the offseason. But he's definitely going to have 2 veterans there to help him out. Another big thing is he doesn't have a lot of length to play that position, which is nothing too concerning in my opinion. I mean, like, you can make up for that. So nothing too concerning. I really like the pick. I think, obviously, linebacker was a position we had to go to eventually. He's going to be able to get a lot of experience under Bobby, and I think he's definitely going to get some snaps coming into next year. Moving on, let's go to Darrell Taylor. Now, Darrell Taylor was our 48th overall pick. He coming out of Tennessee. Darrell Taylor 6'4", big guy, 256 pounds. Now, the biggest thing is he's a great pass rusher. High motor in terms of pass rush. He had 19.5 sacks, 10-plus quarterback hits in 3 straight seasons, so he's going to get to the quarterback a lot of times. Now, obviously, he has good size, good hands, everything you want in a pass rusher. But one of the biggest problems was his athleticism was not great, which is something you have to look at because when it comes to the NFL, you're going to have a lot of athletic tackles. His athleticism wasn't great. His run defense was average. It wasn't something that you're jumping up and down about, but it wasn't something that was absolutely terrible, something we have to be concerned about. But it's almost like looking at a guy like Yannick Ngakoue and being like, he's going to give us pass rush, but he might be a little suspect and he might be a liability in the run, and that's something we might get in Darrell Taylor. And another big problem with Darrell Taylor, he's only played against right tackles in college. So he never played against any left tackles. Well, he rarely played, which is another big concern because Pete does like to be, he likes to, place you around wherever he likes to. He's only played against right tackles in college, which is another big concern. And the last concern, or 2 concerns actually, one thing is he's coming off an ACL injury, which is another big thing we have to go ahead and look at because, is that why he dropped? Because he had an ACL injury? Like, is he perfectly okay? And the second big con is he's 23 years old, turning 24 pretty soon. So, like, he's coming in a little bit older than the average player. And it makes me think, like, is one of the reasons why he was so dominant in college was because he had age and, he had age and experience advantage over most tackles in the league. Who knows? But that's definitely something you have to be concerned about. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a great player. I like his personality already, and he's going to be a great addition to this defense. Okay, moving on, let's go ahead and look at Damian Lewis, offensive guard. We drafted him number 69 overall, offensive guard out of LSU, 6'3", like 330 pounds. Big boy, versatile. He could play center, left guard, right guard, doesn't really matter. So he could play any of those positions. Currently, we have Upati, Justin Britt, and DJ Fluker in those positions. So definitely could be a replacement for anybody. I doubt he plays center though. I'm just saying, one of the big, cons is he's a big boy. He's a good run blocker. Excuse me. Almost reminds me of DJ Fluker a little bit, just because DJ's a big guy that's able to just run people over. He does very well in double teams too. Damian Lewis. So this is going to be a position where obviously we're looking to continue the run game. We didn't get most guards are going to be better at starting the running game anyway, but Damian Lewis exceeds in that completely. Plus pass coverage, he's fairly good in that too. DJ Fluker does have a problem with pass coverage. Another big thing is that he was the highest graded FBS guard after week 11. So he just blew up after week 11. So when they needed him the most in the postseason or later on in the season, he showed up, the highest grade, which is something very interesting that you have to look into. Some of the cons are not very fleet-footed. He's a little slow on his feet, which is okay, something you can work on in the NFL level. Another thing is that he lacks the pass protection awareness. Now, I'm not saying he's bad at pass protection, but his awareness in terms of pass protection is not really there, though. So that is something he is going to have to look at. By the way, guys, I forgot to mention this. The Mario Davis was the NFL comparison to Jordan Brooks, and then Brian Orakpo was Darrell Taylor's NFL comparison. Damian Lewis's is Nate Davis, used to play for the Tennessee Titans. Now moving on, let's go ahead and look at our fourth pick, selected in the fourth round, 133rd overall. Cody Parkinson, tight end out of Stanford. Now Parkinson's a big guy, 6'7", 240 pounds. Large frame and large catch radius, obviously, because he is 6'7". He's, you're going to be able to throw it to him anywhere, and he's going to be able to make catches. Another pro is that he attacks the ball very often, which is something that's very tough to deal with when you've got a long, tall receiver like him. And he's only had 3 drops out of 90 catchable targets, which is another big thing. So he's got pretty solid hands, but he does have some cons. One con is that he doesn't really do well in the run blocking situations, obviously because, he lacks the upper body strength a little bit. He's a little bit taller, not as... it's rock solid as a regular tight end, but he's tall. And, another big thing is he played slot a lot of times, and he did line up as a receiver a lot because, he does struggle a little bit as a tight end because he can't block as well. And another thing is that he's only had 4 no run after catch ability. He's only had 4 broken tackles in his career, which is something else that you're like, he's only going to be a specialist where we get inside the 20 or get in the red zone and we kind of need somebody to throw it up to. We might throw on Parkinson. That's why I think we drafted him. Not a guy that's going to be a down-to-down tight end or a down-to-down receiver, but somebody we could throw in situations where it may be a Hail Mary situation or a situation where we're inside the 20 and we need someone big to throw it to. We could line Metcalf on one side, on Parkinson on the other, something like that. And his NFL comparison is Joe Faria, which I used to love. Joe Faria. I used to play for the Detroit Lions. Pretty solid tight end. But yeah, I think this is definitely like a specialist type of guy. He's not somebody that's going to be there every play, but he's going to be there when we need him inside the red zone or, long plays or whatever that might be. Moving on, let's go to DJ Dallas, who's a running back out of Miami. And DJ Dallas was selected 144th overall. Now, DJ's 5'10", 214 pounds. One thing I really like about DJ Dallas, I have a lot of pros for DJ. He's one of my favorite picks in this draft. He runs angry, doesn't stop moving his feet, which is something a lot of our old running backs had the same talent. The same abilities and same traits, such as Chris Carson, Thomas Rawls, Marshawn Lynch. You look at it, a lot of those guys, they wouldn't stop moving their feet, and they had a lot of success when they played for us. Lower half power, extremely powerful, which is something Marshawn has, just keep turning your feet and trying to get extra yards, which is big. He's short, but he's mean. He has wide receiver background, which is perfect. I like that. He has good hands. I always love when our wide receiver has good hands. Plus, he's willing to block, which is another big thing you have to factor. Like, this man is willing to go in there and hit someone while guarding Russell Wilson. That's another big thing you have to look at. But he does have some cons, because if he didn't, he would be going way higher. A con that he does have is that he doesn't have too much experience in the position because he does have that wide receiver background. Doesn't have too much experience in the position and kind of lacks the technique, which is something that is, you can teach that to a running back. One thing I do like, he does have that competitive toughness where he's nonstop trying to move his feet. He's always trying to get extra yards. He runs angry. That's something I always want to look for if you're looking for a running back. Going ahead and looking at our 148th overall pick, let's go look at Alton Robinson out of Syracuse, defensive end, 6'4", 257 pounds, and this is probably one of my favorite picks out of everybody in this whole draft, just because I had him, I had us drafting him in the 4th round in my mock draft, because I definitely, I was super excited to see him. Super big, high motor, he's powerful, almost reminds me of Darrell Taylor a little bit, because he is very strong in the pass rush. But the biggest thing is his run athleticism and his run, just overall, his run traits aren't very good. He has the talent to be good in the run, but just hasn't really developed into that. Hasn't had a PFF grade over 75 in his whole college career, which is something you do have to look at. 10 plus quarterback hits in 3 years. That's Alton Robinson. He's super good. Guys, I think I said 10 plus quarterback hits on Darrell Taylor. Excuse me if I did. It's Alton Robinson. Got confused. Sorry, both defensive ends. And another big problem with Alton Robinson is he doesn't have too many moves, in terms of pass rush moves. That's something you also have to look into. But the thing is that, that's teachable, right? He has all the physical attributes, but stuff like that is teachable, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted him. And we got him for steal in the 4th round. Ooh, moving on, let's go to, and Alton Robinson was 148, round 5. Moving on to some of our later picks, let's go ahead and look at Freddie Swain, drafted at 214 in the 6th round, coming out of Florida. 6 feet tall, 197 pounds, pretty fast, has some great, he could do the punt return, he's a good punt returner. Same with DJ Dallas, he's also a punt returner, which is some, interesting, because that means I don't like Tyler Lockett returning punts anymore. He's not doing anything there anymore. Like, we haven't seen a punt return, kick return, touchdown in ages. Yeah, Freddie Swain or DJ Dallas could give us that spark again. That's someone we could look at. But Swain has, punt return ability, good route running. But the biggest problem with him is he doesn't have too much experience. I think the most amount of yards he's had in the season is like 500 something. Maxed out at 38 receptions last year, which is not very much. Had several or a couple 100-yard, 200-yard receiving seasons in college football. So, which is kind of scary, because most of his highlights you saw like on TV were his only highlights that he's ever had, which is a little scary, because like I said, he doesn't have too much experience. But the thing is that he's still raw and he's still developing. So that's something we can work on. Moving on to our last pick. This wasn't supposed to be a pick that we had. We actually traded up and got it, or not traded up. We traded to get this pick. One of the last few picks in the draft. It was actually 251, round 7. We drafted Stephen Sullivan out of LSU, 6'4", 248 pounds. Just won the national championship with LSU with Joe Burrow. He's a tight end. Obviously, everybody was upset because it's like, why are we drafting a tight end? But I want you to think a little bit closer, because I don't think this is a tight end. How we're going to use him, he's not a tight end. Number one, he's a good athlete. He's a great athlete. He's powerful, good frame. One big thing that I like is he creates mismatches at the tight end position. As a tight end, he creates mismatches. So that means if a linebacker is guarding him or a safety, he creates mismatches. But we haven't really seen him. Obviously at pro level, we haven't seen him do anything but too much as against corners. He could play wide receiver, which is where I think we're going to put him. I don't think we're going to put him at tight end. I think he's going to play receiver for us. That's a big thing. Biggest cons is he can't block. The only time he kind of succeeds with blocking is on jet sweeps, wide receiver screens, outside runs. But in general, he struggles in terms of run blocking, which is another reason why I think we're going to be able to use him as a wide receiver, because I just don't think he's capable of being a solid tight end in the NFL. He's going to have to play guys like Aaron Donald in this division, Chandler Jones, just a lot of monsters in this division. Obviously, we know what's in San Francisco. So I don't think he's going to play tight end for us. I think we're going to leave that to a lot of our other tight ends, but he's definitely going to be a guy we could put in at receiver or slot or whatever it may be, and I think he's definitely going to create some mismatches on the outside. I definitely like him, and he's a good pick. And he's a project for sure. He's 100% a project. I wrote that down in caps. He's a project. He's not a guy that we're going to throw in there probably week 1 and he's not going to get snaps, but he's a guy we're going to work on for however many weeks or maybe years, and he's going to, he's going to progress from there. So guys, that's about it. I did research on all 8 of our guys. And I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for next season to see how these guys do. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys like this. I hope if you want me to do this again and break down maybe some other players or something, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think about our picks. If you like them, if you didn't, what you would have changed. I'm very curious to see how the Seahawks community kind of responded to this. So if you did like it, please like and subscribe. I will see you guys soon. Go Hawks. Stay safe. I will see you guys later.